The Building Brands Marketing Podcast is dedicated to exploring the journeys of industry leaders who have successfully built a brand. Join me, Robert Breuer, president of Building Brands Marketing, and an entrepreneur who's successfully scaled multiple brands as we dive deep into the strategies, challenges, and insights that have shaped the success of industry leaders and provide you with the resources you need to do the same. Building Brands Marketing is a full-service marketing agency specializing in crafting customized marketing strategies for service-based businesses with a creative powerhouse to drive real results. Welcome to the Building Brands Podcast. Welcome to the Legal Leaders series of the Building Brands Podcast. I'm excited today to have Boe Bowen, attorney and managing member with the Bowen Law Firm, on today's show. Welcome, Boe.
Hello. Hi. Great to be here.
Happy to have you. I look forward to this one. Bo's firm is in the Houston area, and excited to talk with Boe today. He's got a really interesting journey that I look forward to sharing with everybody. So, Boe, you've wanted to be an attorney since childhood. You've known your whole life, and you earned a full ride to TSU, if I recall correctly. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
Awesome. Congratulations. So what was the driving force behind starting your own law firm instead of joining an established one? That seems a lot easier.
It probably would have been, yes, sir. But the things that were important to me were not important to the other firms. And I had a law firm right after having my first child. And I did not want 3 different wives, 3 different families. I wanted to make the best out of the one that I had. I did well the first time and get as much time as I could, especially at those beginning years of my child. I wasn't going to get that at any firm or any state organization. So I had to go out on my own.
Yeah, absolutely. Sounds like you had some customer service principles and some core values that were really critical to you. And it was easier just kind of being at the forefront there to implement those core values. Is that accurate?
Yes, sir. I wanted to be available for pickup and drop off of my children, for example. Outside of court hearings and things of that nature, I was allowed to do that because I owned and operated my own firm. I made family, meaning mine, a priority. I didn't neglect my clients. No, I was still at the office in the evening when they were asleep. Sure, I was lucky to have an office down the street to start. But I made family number one. I made all the school events, doing the watchdog things. I'm available there. They think it's weird if I wasn't home. A completely different norm from anyone else I know that does what I do for a living.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I know that's been a big part of you and your staff as well. You've tried to, allow that flexibility and balance for your staff to have the same. Is that correct?
That's correct. Yes, sir. We do have a remote/office setting. Sometimes you have to come in, so they have to go to downtown. I can't avoid those things. We have a job to do. And let's face it, the courts are open from 8 to 5. Well, some courts. So we'd have to be available as well. But yes, most of my attorneys do also get to work from home and come in as well. But it doesn't matter if they're attorneys or not. When they have kids and part of my staff, they're there for their school events. Just make sure we get a calendar, things get covered. I can't think of a time we've ever said no. I mean, I push them toward it. That's what we're working for, right? Anyone who has kids knows this, in my opinion. So keep what's important. You got to take care of your family first. Set those examples. And hopefully you won't need me to do a divorce.
Yeah. So Boe, let's dive a little bit deeper. Tell us a little bit more about your subspecialty at the Bowen Law Firm and your experience in that specialty area.
Yes, sir. I have to stop real quick only because of Texas rules. I cannot use the word specialty. You can say focused, but if I say yes to specialty, I can get in trouble with the state bar. So I have to restart that one. Just please say focused on, or what is it you do the majority of, or I can't say specialty because I don't have a board specialization. Other people wouldn't stop you. I don't want to get in trouble.
I am so glad you mentioned that. And that's actually really critical. I reinforce this with my team all the time, our content team, because we have to be careful with lawyers that we never say, hey, they're a specialist in this area, and we can't say experts as well. We can't say you're an expert in criminal law. So yeah, I'm so glad you mentioned that. 4:30, yes, perfect.
So usually the word focused works, or tell me the areas of law you offer. Because I offer a lot. I'm the only one that does everything, but I do have people who get the focus.
Yeah.
But sorry, I'm not trying to ruin it. I love the way you said it. I just can't use that word.
Perfect. All right, Boe. So let's dive a little deeper. Let's start out and talk about the Bowen Law Firm. What are your areas of focus with the firm?
Yes, sir. I'm fortunate to have a mid-sized firm now, and we offer a lot. Everything from family law, I mean everything family law, from modifications, divorces, writs of habeas corpus, and more. Not to mention probate and estate planning, and personal injury, car wrecks, dog bites, slip and falls, in addition to general civil litigation. Now, I have other attorneys who've worked with me for years. They get to focus. I'm the only one that does all the different areas. But again, we're fortunate to offer many different ways to help people.
So, Bo, tell me a little bit about, the early stages here. I know in talking with you prior to today's show, you've taken an unconventional path, one I would describe as a path of adversity, right? Including you've dropped out of high school, later built
Yes.
an extremely successful firm. I love this. I mean, it's an incredible story. Can you share some of the largest lessons that you've learned from overcoming those early challenges?
Never give up on your dreams. Like you hit on earlier, and you were right. I wanted to be an attorney, I like to say, since I was knee-high to a duck. I still remember the person's father who was an attorney and just impressed me in such a way. The way people treated him, he carried himself, he could speak. They had it all. And I wanted that. Didn't know what an attorney really did. Didn't understand the process, how to get there. Nothing. Just I wanted that. I even started going trick-or-treating with a backgammon case. There were no briefcases in my family. We were blue collar, firefighters and things like that. So a backgammon case, and I'm trick-or-treating. I didn't get much candy, to be fair. I told him I wanted to be a lawyer. Even though technically I was an attorney, not a lawyer. A lawyer is someone who's best graduated from school, right? An attorney is someone who's done that and been accepted by the state to practice. It's another step. It's harder to be an attorney than a lawyer. But anyway, so knee-high to a duck, wanted to do this my whole life, and I had no clue, right? Obviously, dropping out of high school wasn't the best approach. There are reasons for that. And then I joined the Navy. Because oddly enough, as soon as I got out of school, I couldn't wait to get back in it. It's amazing what passion I can have when I'm not being forced. So got back in school, found out this wasn't working. As a high school dropout, trying to work and go to school, it wasn't working. So I joined the Navy to take my father off. He was a Marine Corps drill instructor, Pentecostal preacher. Yeah, there's a reason I left at a young age.
Yeah.
And I joined the Navy. He wasn't happy about that, right? Marine and Navy, let's face it, because our paychecks in the Navy say Department of Defense. The Marines' paychecks say Department of the Navy. That's right. We own them. You're ours. They'll say we're the men's department. No, afraid not. And everyone knows what Marine stands for. It is my butt rides in Navy equipment. So yeah, there's an ongoing joke between the forces. Anytime they need a ride, get a Navy guy, because that's anyway.
Yeah.
So I joined the Navy, and as soon as I got in, I started doing CLEPs, Dantes. I went to the Naval College to get extra credits. Even underway, like going to Iraq and such, I was in classes, my free time, between the weight room and that, and got as much as I could. And then I developed a path, figured out how to get to law school, took the LSAT, all those fun things. And oddly enough, here I am. But this is not the route I would ask people to take. There's a significantly easier way to get here than what I did.
Yeah, thank you for your service, Bo. And I understand, I myself, I've took a sort of jagged path to where I'm at today. And I understand that, sometimes it's, for some personalities, that's a better route, actually. Sometimes it makes you more appreciative for what you have today. It's part of what went into the sausage to make the sausage. And maybe it wouldn't have turned out the same with the same, life values and things like that if you didn't have that path. And so that's a good segue, talking about your clients and from a marketing perspective, what's been powerful for your clients. Your firm is really known for an individualized approach, a really personalized approach, trying to make every client, feel like they're the only one. So how do you ensure that same level of personalized service as your firm has scaled over the years, way beyond yourself? How do you manage that growth and still try to deliver that same quality of service?
When we get feedback from the clients, I do randomly call them after client if the cases have closed. I have software through a program called Levitate that I've been using, and I'll send out and ask for client feedback. And trust me, if they're unhappy, they have no problems giving you a bad review. But I really address it sooner than later. Let me fix that problem before it becomes a big problem. Sure. And really, they're not even problems. Typically, it's just miscommunication. They need to explain a different way. And once you get it here, it doesn't create the bigger problem there. And again, every time they do complain, if you want to see it that way, it's really an opportunity to improve, to avoid it for other people in the future. It helps us so we don't miss things. Like you said, it's easy. Well, you didn't say that, but it is easy to do when you have bigger and bigger scale. People can fall through the cracks. But that's what I have found to do my best to do it. I'd like to think overwhelmingly we do well, but I have found 100% while I aim for it. I haven't hit that yet. I'm striving. We're pretty close. I'm going to say 98. We retain about 95% of our people. They come back. But 100% has been very difficult to attain.
Yeah, well, it's a challenge in general in this industry. You've talked about Levitate. Are there any other systems or softwares that you've used to try to reach that goal of, client or improve the client satisfaction?
Well, as a general rule, if the Texas State Bar recommends it, they can't tell us what to do, but they can recommend it. You're telling me what to do. I got it. So I do what they tell me. Recommend or not, they say use Clio. I use Clio. Clio is software we use to manage client database and log time and do billing and all that stuff. So
yeah,
they recommend a certain malpractice carrier. That's who I used. I usually do what I'm told to do. I like to be within that nice area, that not necessarily the gray, but clearly over here in the right. So that approach has worked well. But again, I would love to make everyone happy. I really want to. That's our goal with every client. And I believe that the people I do have, the foundation, we're all in line. But trying to find people who believe in that vision, who can see that and treat them the way that you want, it's been difficult. I never would have thought finding the right people to put in the seats I need was going to be the most difficult part. Getting clients, if you take care of them, you'll get a bunch of clients. But making sure you have the right people to care for them is significantly harder, in my opinion.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a great point. And, I'm not associated with Clio in any way, but I work with a number of law firms and have worked with several for about a decade. And most of them seem to be pretty satisfied with Clio in reference to all other software. So that's one for those that are listening to the show. Yeah, well, this kind of happens as they get larger, right? But for those that are listening to the show, that is a pretty reasonable software that I think most of the law firms I talk to seem to be satisfied with. So let's talk more about marketing. Word of mouth, plays a large role in your firm's growth, always has, and that's pretty common when you really put a focus on client satisfaction like yourself. But you've also leveraged Google reviews and some other digital platforms to help with the firm's growth. What marketing strategies have worked best for you, Boe, in building brand recognition for the firm?
Well, it takes a lot to embarrass me, so I have no problem with getting out there, handing out my swag, be it a T-shirt, a koozie, and getting it in people's hands. I do go to all kinds of local events. We do lots of things with Ducks Unlimited, for example.
Very cool.
Not to mention, there are so many things that we do within our community to help. And I believe the more you give, the more you are going to get in the return. Yeah, not normally instantly, but getting out there, getting that word of mouth, or seeing your name when they actually do need you, in my opinion, it does come back tenfold. So again, getting out there, not being scared to get in the community. Yeah, you're not going to have every free weekend. It is what it is, but make it fun. And if you can make it fun, you actually can have a really good time. I never thought I'd enjoy the marketing part of the firm. I actually really enjoy it. Coming up with new swag, developing different product for different events, be it a swim meet or a golf tournament, or maybe your old alma mater. I guarantee you, they'd be more than happy to take your money and hand out koozies or something at the front gates for tickets.
I know that's right. No, I love that because I'm still very tied to the university I graduated from, and there really is like a personal gratification to it as well. One of the things, I know you're a big family guy. If you are building relationships with your family and your clients' families, I mean, there is nothing stronger than that. There's a reason that a lot of these big oil companies and construction companies spend lots of money on deer leases to go and, spend a whole weekend. If you spend a whole weekend fireside with someone else's family, coffee in the morning, that is a relationship that is just being nurtured to the maximum. And so I think one of the things that, I feel like is an area of opportunity for more people is getting their family involved in their relationship building and their, relationship nurturing processes in the community. Because, if I'm going to, let's say, do some community service project, and somebody who is a client is there with their family as well. Now we're participating in something that we both care about, service together. And then the family is becoming a part of that as well, which makes me more relatable to this client now. And people like to do business with people they like or relate to. It's just
Right.
nature of service-based industries. So I love that. Is there anything else as far as marketing strategies that you would like to share or touch on?
That no one knows everything. Don't be scared to try something new. I've had some home runs with things that people are like, really? No, get out of here. And they're raving about it. Oddly enough, a pizza cutter of all things. I have this wicked looking one. It is a bit medieval. Women, men, children, all of them love it. And, I mean, they're like putting it in their offices on display. I'm thinking, I never would have guessed that at all. Even my wife, she's like, yeah, no, it looks dangerous. I'm like, well, so you never know. Give it a chance. Buy a small supply. Again, put yourself out there and try. But if you're not involved in the community, you're giving up all kinds of things just right there because people don't want to drive downtown. I get clients just because my office is located in Champions. I don't want to drive downtown. I don't blame them, but I'm right there, right? Just because of location.
Yeah, I think it's a great point. Like trial and error, live and learn. This is marketing, not even people like me that have been specializing in this space for a decade. I tell people all the time, I don't have all the answers. I'm not going to pretend that I know exactly what the formula is every single time. However, it's a trial and error thing. We're going to try something. We're going to put in a process so we can inspect for success and kind of build some measurables around success. And if we don't meet those key metrics, then let's pivot and let's try something different. That's a success in my mind, even if it was a failed marketing effort, because now I know, hey, what did I learn from that I should do differently next time? And I, will pivot accordingly. I think one thing that you're touching on that is really valuable when it comes to marketing is so many times people will look at marketing and advertising as synonymous and the same, and they are not the same. Advertising is, hey, I'm placing space and I'm putting a message out in that space, whether that's billboard, back in the day, newspaper, TV, online video, Facebook. However, what is going into that messaging is the marketing aspect, and marketing is so much more than just buying advertising or even buying a promotional collateral. It's about what is the message that is backing that up. And I think that's where people do not spend enough time, and they spend more time thinking, oh, I know I need to spend 5 to 7% of my annual budget in marketing. I need to put this money here so I can check off this box. And without the messaging really being thought out in detail, and some people aren't capable of that, in which case, hey, just like every successful entrepreneur I know, if I'm not good at something, find someone that is in that area and have them work on it. The messaging is the most critical piece. I know it seems like you've done a really good job of identifying what is your brand personality, both as Boe Bowen as an individual and as well with the Bowen Law Firm as a firm. And you've been successful with that. So congrats, Boe.
Thank you. Do you like my slogan?
Yeah, I give it to us. Give it to us.
When the going gets tough, the tough get Bowen.
It rings. It rings. I have to say that. And, you have some good words. Like you've really, in talking with you prior to this show, you said a couple things that really resonated with me. So I'm going to say one sentence, and it's not going to be in the form of a question. And then I want to open up the floor to you. The importance of saying no in business. Go, Boe.
Difference between success and failure, working for free, losing employees. Wow, I cannot tell you how many headaches I have avoided by simply saying no. All money is not good money. And just because you may like the person, if they're not going to listen and follow your advice, you're setting yourself up for failure. If they're going to treat your staff less than they're going to treat you, you're setting yourself up for failure. It isn't worth it. It's better to give them a referral to someone that better fits them. Sometimes I know those people. I'm only this much of a you-know-what. I know people who are this much of a you-know-what. They're perfect for each other. And you make the connections and move on. Yes, I lost some money. No, what I lost was headaches. What I lost was my staff complaining about the person. What I lost was having to argue over the bill and justify that they're going to pay for the work that we did. No. In fact, every year around Christmas, I give the firm a gift. We get rid of at least, or I say get rid of, we ask 2 people to go find someone else because of the issues and headaches and to make it easier on the staff. And I'm telling you, that level of empowerment, more about them than any individual client. Because that's true. I need them. They're helping with all my cases. And if one throws the monkey wrench in it, it ruins everything for everybody, from them all the way up and, of course, down. So simply saying no or knowing when it's time to go, this isn't a good fit. I know they're paying the bills. But if you look at the time you're working, the stress and headaches, you're not making what you're billing for. You're losing money.
Yeah, especially in, client scenarios where things get out of hand a little bit. The thing is, when you're at this point where your firm is at, your growth is now largely dependent on the success and the progression of others, no longer
Correct.
Boe. And that's a difficult pill for some to swallow because many of us as entrepreneurs started out where the business was largely dependent on us and our day-to-day work and in the trenches work. And then it gets to a point where you've reached a limited ceiling where now there has to be someone else who can do the things you used to do,
Right.
either just as well, or in some cases, in a best case scenario, maybe even better. And
Right.
that is a difficult day, a challenging day, but a day that's a great day to come along, because now is the opportunity for scaled growth. Now, what you're touching on really, it circles back around to talent retention, because if you want your employees to be happy, ultimately they are going to deliver a better end result most of the time to the end client. And so, the idea that all money is not good money is a very good idea. Also knowing that sometimes, but on that same token, in my opinion, there are also scenarios where you have to make the call as the leader of that firm or of that business, if it's not a law firm, to step in and go, hey, this is a situation where we just need to problem solve and we need to work creatively around this. And the answer isn't just, hey, let's break up with the client, but this is a situation where there's a path to resolution here and we have to step in and kind of lead in that scenario. And I've been on that end of the coin as well. So, tell me about how this mindset of, hey, the importance of saying no has helped shape your brand and business success.
Well, we won't just help anybody, because if we don't believe in the case and believe in the client, we're not going to be the best option for them anyway. We don't BS anyone. We're not going to start with the clients. So if we don't believe them, we don't think they have a good case, I'm going to tell them that. I've never been accused of being a great businessman because, again, I don't say what's best for the business. I say what's best for the client. And I always do it from the perspective of them. I mean, if I was in their shoes, what would I want before I drop life-changing money to this stranger's hand? That's our approach. Sugarcoat it. There's no sugar to sell. There's no rainbow to sell. In a nicer way. I mean, let's make it like the world is crumbling, but they need to be aware. It's debatable. And sometimes you got to go down a path you don't.
Yeah, definitely.
Right, to provide the pros and cons, and quite frankly, in my pretty much every option sucks. It's going to hurt you, either be money to fight it, or the risk option anyway.
Boe Bowen, adversity, but a story of success. Just grateful to have you. Boe, tell us, where can we find you online?
Yes, sir. You can www.bowen, BENLF, as in law firm, just bowenlf.com.
Awesome. Well, last thing, Boe, very last question before we segue. If you could do it all over again, is there anything you would do differently?
Yes. Even with all the mistakes I've made, you only know about one. That's a biggie, right? The high school thing. I made a lot more than that one. If I could go back in time and do things different, the one thing I would do differently is I would have kids sooner. I shouldn't have waited as long. And even though I did, I still discovered that you're never ready. You never have enough money. And the only difference was I could have had more. My biggest regret is I didn't have more beautiful daughters. I was blessed with 2, and I would take another 100.
I love that. I love that. I'm the exact opposite. I started at 22, and so I'm on the opposite side. But I like that, Bo. It's been an absolute pleasure. Thanks for being on the podcast today.
Been a pleasure. Thank you.